down. Sweet chariot, stop and let me ride. YouTube and everybody in between, I do not own the copyrights of that legendary hip hop classic mixed with funk. Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, shout out to Daz Dillinger, and of course the legend himself, the Funkadelic Parliament legend himself, George Clinton. Shout out to the OG, Boosie Collins as well. I want to welcome you all to the Cosmic Christ University. I am a cosmic Christ being. 2,000 years ago, you heard of Jesus, the one many call Yeshua. After Jesus left us in this earthly form, he guaranteed us there was a second coming, that the return would be a glorious one. Now, family, I represent that return. I am a cosmic Christ being. You know me as ordained metaphysical minister, Dr. Corbin. My biggest message on YouTube for the past 5 years is to let you, who may feel that you're ordinary, who may feel that you're normal, or you, who always knew that you were spiritual, that you transcended outside of this physical realm we call third dimension. I am here today on my Chapter 2 presentation to give you proof, receipts even, that not only are you not from planet Earth originally, but these people and these beings that you term aliens, ET, extraterrestrial, the words we use like UAPs, that a lot of these, I'm not saying all, that a lot of these are ancestors who have been watching us through centuries grow until we reach the point of higher consciousness where now we can be shown the doors and the gateways and the portals that we truly always had access to. So once again, YouTube, I do not own the copyrights of that legendary song. I welcome you to Chapter 2 of the Cosmic Christ Stargate, the gods and man. For those who watched Chapter 1, I don't have to recap. And if I do recap, it's only going to be for 30 seconds. And that recap is this. On Chapter 1, we showed you the growth. We showed you the history of man in his spiritual essence, in the primordial essence. The growth that man had to go through after the gods who represent the one God. After they left us and went back to the cosmos, we were here not to defend for ourselves, but to let our higher consciousness grow through strenuous efforts of growth. I am now going to break down Chapter 2. And the information that you have on Chapter 2, I promise you, shout out to the History Channel and the Discovery Channel and a great show, Ancient Aliens, but they will not have nothing on what the minister is going to give you this afternoon. I said shout out to Ancient Aliens, shout out to the Discovery Channel and the History Channel in general. But what the minister is going to drop, these gems I'm going to give you this evening and afternoon, Ancient Aliens has nothing on the minister. So I want to thank you for your patience. I am going to do a quick recap to start off where we left off and keep it going from there. Before I do, I want to thank you for tuning in to the Cosmic Christ University, first and foremost. Secondly, with so much going on in the world right now, propaganda, politics, survival, it is time viewer, it is time you watching, whether you want to accept it or not, that you are spiritually out there, that you are more powerful than what your normal capacity will allow you to think. But none of that matters now. What matters is that you activate your inner power. That's all that matters. Now, going on 7 minutes, let's get right straight to the information at hand. We're going to do a quick recap. Comparatively, few people take the trouble to learn all they might regarding the grand scheme of evolution, conceived and being worked out by the cosmic Christ. And we accept very little of all we can know regarding the spiritual lords working under him. Roughly, we may term these angelic beings sun gods. If we would understand the gods, we must take a really wide view of the cosmos and grasp the fact that this is not the only globe in which the absolute is interested in. How many of you can grasp with that gnosis, that knowledge, not even the idea at this point, that this planet is not the only one in which the Creator is interested in? Even if we look no further afield than our own solar system, we must remember how much it contains, family, and how little we know of its contents. Astronomers tell us much of the emptiness of these mighty globes, meaning that they contain no human beings. But occultism, I said occultism, believes that they are all inhabited by beings, some above and some below us, in evolution that is, and sees no reason against believing that non-physical beings occupy the stars and planets, the suns and moons, and carry out the will of the Creator in a God-appointed way. Let's stop there before I go in. Usually when most people think of ETs, alien extraterrestrials, they either equate them with something so far from us, or they either equate them as demonic beings. Rarely do you hear a conversation in depth like we're about to have that majority of these beings are working under the supervision of the one source, the first cause, the one you call Creator and or God. Once again, let's keep going. We have good reason to believe that this earth owes much to certain advanced beings. Once again, we have a good reason to believe that this earth owes much to certain advanced beings who left their own realms to instruct our infant humanity. Some occupied human bodies, others helped us to advance by working on etheric levels. Let's bring that back. Some occupied human bodies. This is true. Others help us to advance by working on etheric levels in the days before Earthmen was endowed with self-consciousness. We are in the year right now, 2025. TikTok is a prime example. I said TikTok is a prime example of social consciousness, of self-awareness as a whole now. No matter what you believe in, no matter what you in, there is a group of people that you can find on TikTok that is going to relate to you. Now, as a people on this planet, what we need to do now is take that social consciousness and realize that we are star seeds, star children, star sons and daughters. Once we realize that as a unified consciousness, we're going to see the veil being lifted. You have everybody thinking this way, you against him against you. There is division throughout God's people. But once God's people unify, and it's coming real soon, the true golden age is coming real soon. But once we unified, everything from mermaids, everything from gnomes, everything from extraterrestrials, everything from dragons, inner worlds, subterranean worlds, higher worlds, these things will be given, it's ready for us now. But are we ready for it, people, to unite? Let's keep on reading. We have good reason to believe that this earth owes much to certain advanced beings who left their own realms to instruct our infant humanity. Some occupied human bodies, others helped us to advance by working on etheric levels in the days before Earthmen were endowed with self-consciousness. Keep that last part in mind as we move forward. And could only respond to spiritual impact by a vague clairvoyance and clairaudience. In old Atlantean days, class participation, you know I'm big on that, by raise of hands or the like button, how many of you have heard of Atlantis? Honestly. By a raise of hands, don't worry, I can see them even with the sunbeam. How many of you have heard of Atlantis, the lost city of Atlantis? Raise them hands. Even if you grew up in church, some way, somehow, you heard of Atlantis. Now, church people, my beautiful church people, we know the story of Noah, right? Noah and the ark. There was a flood. Noah got a warning from God, man, I'm finna destroy this whole place. Your people ain't living right. It ain't too many people in this place, in this town, in this city that is living right. You and your people, because you've been worshiping me, you good. You and your people, I need you to choose 2 of every animal on this planet, and you build this ark. And you come and follow me to the new world. I'm about to destroy your old world. This is what God, paraphrasing, said to Noah. But church people, how come how come we have never discussed the time before Noah, the flood? Some might say, yeah, well, it's in the Bible. There were giants. There was this and there was that. I want you to look up this word. I got it right here somewhere. Here we go. What is it spelled?
Antediluvian.
Antediluvian. Did y'all hear that?
Antediluvian. Antediluvian.
It almost sounds like Maybach music. But anyway.
Antediluvian.
Antediluvian. If you Google this word, it means before the flood. It means before the flood of Noah. But that word
Antediluvian
can also mean something that is old or outdated. Now, I want you to think about this before I go on. Because we know the Noah story. A lot of people don't know that the Asians had a Noah story about 700 years before the Noah story. The exact one to the T, kind of a little bit different. Actually, the ending is a lot of different. But before the flood was Atlantis. It was Lemuria. It was a people with a higher spiritual intellect. I mean, spiritual powers. Levitating, flying is light work to them in Atlantis. So many different stories on the destruction of Atlantis. Some say scientists got too greedy. Some say there was a war in the heavens. Some say that they were using powerful crystals, like the black crystals. If you watched, I think the movie is called Dark Crystals by Jim Henson, it tells a lot of the Atlantis and Lemuria story, no matter how crazy it may look, but it's a true story. We as human beings, most of us, are so locked in this physical world that hearing a story like Atlantis, Lemuria, hearing about a people who could read minds, who could levitate, who had these spiritual powers, who weren't even really physical beings at the time of Atlantis. A lot of you leave this to Marvel and you go to the movie theaters and you be entertained, not knowing that Marvel goes to the libraries, to these ancient libraries or these libraries that have preserved our mythological true stories, and this is where Marvel gets it from. I've told a lot of you to research George Lucas and one of his teachers who was Joseph Campbell. I told you Gene Roddenberry, who was the creator of Star Wars, had a connection in the MIT. And the people who were locked in when the entity who called himself the Nine, who represented the nine gods back in Egypt. Gene Roddenberry, who was the founder, the creator of Star Wars, had that access. So then fast forward later when he gives you Deep Space Nine. People don't research, so you're just locked in the physical world. You go to the movie theaters and you let them tell you your story. Or be entertained with something that you won't even imagine could be your story. Because we're millions and millions of years into this story. I just wanted you to think about that. Now, outdated is another word that equates with this
Antediluvian.
word. So if you are trying to create a whole nother world where the new people, the new race, doesn't have to worry about dragons or gnomes or mermaids or sibyllines or oracles or witches or the worship of the goddess, then to you that is considered outdated. So if you're trying to create a whole nother world with a new religion where this new race can conquer against all the old races, then this outdated world doesn't serve you or the people that you are trying to promote or hold back. And I want you to think about that as the minister continues on. That was a side mission. Now let's go back to the presentation. At the destruction of Atlantis, many of these teachers reincarnated in more highly developed beings and became the leaders of the great schools of initiation. Later, they were often honored as gods. Gradually, the close connecting link existing between man and the ancient gods was severed, that means cut off, severed. Because humanity became less and less fitted as it progressed in self-consciousness for this communion. Let's stop there. Ancient Aliens. Listen, I love the show Ancient Aliens because I used to sit back and answer the questions when they were like, was it Ancient Aliens? No, you guys know exactly what it was. It was ancient ancestors. Now let's read this again. At the destruction of Atlantis, I tell you, church people, you need to start looking at the pre-flood area. Yeah, they told you it was giants and cyclops and all this, but it was a lot more than just that. Don't just think it was a caveman era back then. It was people back then that were in sacred places up in the mountains that had ancient sacred knowledge and were doing powerful things. Things that we can do now and we just lock in. At the destruction of Atlantis, family, many of these teachers reincarnated in more highly developed beings. Now, if you are a fan of Ancient Aliens, hit the like button. I know I like class participation points. We 570 and some change in scholars, masters, and teachers and students in this university. Everybody claims they're spiritual. Well, let's see. because we can have as many as people we have, and this would be the greatest university of all time because of the information you're getting. Now, for the people who love Ancient Alien, the thing which is on either Discovery Channel or History, it's like brother and sister channels. How many times have you guys heard about Atlantis? And after the destruction of Atlantis, or after what happened in Atlantis, those people migrating to Egypt. And in Egypt, we truly, as far as a civilization on this planet, we truly start to hear about the wonders and the magic and the spiritual miracles that formed, that was Egypt, this great land, this rich black soil. So let me read this again as you go back into your memory and you remember your Ancient Alien episodes and you think about what you know yourself. At the destruction of Atlantis, many of these teachers reincarnated in more highly developed beings and became the leaders of the great schools of initiation. Later, they were often honored as gods. Now, we talk about the gods, and I would just got finished mentioning Gene Roddenberry in Star Trek and how he had friends in the MIT back in the day, and he was able to go into the meetings where people were channeling the nine, who were these Egyptian nine gods. Thoth, we talk about Thoth, and a lot of us know that Thoth has a connection to Atlantis, and we also know that Thoth was considered one of the gods with Ptah, Isis, Osiris. Are y'all with me? So now a lot of you are getting proof and receipts that after the destruction of Atlantis, and this is, I can feel the power as I'm talking to you. After Atlantis, the great beings that, and there were many of them, the great beings that were in Atlantis transfigured, migrated, however you want to say it, to Egypt, this land. And obviously, what it's saying, I'm going to read it one more time. Obviously, what it's saying is like Superman when he left Krypton and entered Earth's atmosphere. Oh, I feel the energy today. I feel the energy today. Like Superman when he left Krypton and he entered Earth's atmosphere and his powers leveled up. I don't know about you watching, but this is what I'm hearing happen. With the Atlantis beings, our ancestors who entered into Egypt. Let's read that again to see if we're hearing the same thing. And I thank you so much. I told you, those who watched chapter 1, that chapter 2 was going to be lit. Is it not on fire? And if you say no, then just keep on watching. At the destruction of Atlantis, if you don't know what Atlantis is, then you should know that Google is your best friend. And once you see that Google is your best friend, you'll see that a lot of people have told us that Atlantis was a myth. That means it was make believe. There's no such thing as Atlantis. Where you have people like Homer, people like my teacher, Edgar Casey, who has gave us proof on top of proof that Atlantis was in fact real. So let's read this one more time and then we're going to continue on. At the destruction of Atlantis, and listen closely. At the destruction of Atlantis, many of these teachers who were in Atlantis reincarnated in more highly developed beings. These are our ancestors. Isn't it written in your law that ye are gods? Well then, how far have we forgot, humans? I don't call myself a human. I call myself a multi-dimensional being. Because as a multi-dimensional being, like yourself, we transcend time, space, and matter. At the destruction of Atlantis, yes, one more. After the destruction of Atlantis, many of these teachers reincarnated in more highly advanced, more highly developed beings. How more developed can you be than what y'all was doing in Atlantis, ancestors? Darn. Think about what we know about. Okay, I know. Okay, let's keep going. The teachers of Atlantis reincarnated in more highly developed beings and became the leaders of the great schools of initiation. Let's think about the ones that we knew about in Egypt. Later, they were often honored as gods. Now, gradually, the close connecting link. Gradually, listen. It's all about listening in class. We can learn a lot if we listen. Gradually, the close connecting link existing between men and the ancient gods were severed. Severed. Do you know what severed mean? If you're in a toxic relationship and you stuck and you don't know what to do and you know it's toxic, I'll give you a hint what you gotta do. You gotta sever that ish. You gotta cut it. Cut it. Cut it. Cut it. Shout out to OT. You gotta cut it. Shout out to the Migos. You gotta cut it. Gradually. Family. Shout out to ancient aliens. Gradually, the close connecting link that we had with the ancestors got cut off. And we here kind of defending for ourselves all this time. 27 minutes ain't bad. Y'all know I usually go for an hour. I may stop because this might draw you in. Gradually, we had a close link with the ancestors. Even in the time of Atlantis and Lemuria, when we're dealing with Atlantis, shout out to our Toltecs, Olmecs, the Mayans. This is the Atlantis area. Atlantis times. Back in those times, the physical world was still able, throughout the skies, where I'm looking at the skies right now, was able to see spiritual workings going on. That's how the veil, there wasn't even a veil at that time. And if it was very light. Gradually, as the false ego, the I, not the I am, but the I that became individualized and ignorant of his connection with God and obviously the gods. As it said, once man grown his own self-consciousness, that connection from our ancestors, it got cut off. I want to thank you for watching right now. I mean, a lot of us are spiritual, right? You say you're spiritual, right? You go through a lot in this physical world, right? And sometimes when you go through a lot in this physical world, right, you feel like you're alone. You feel like even in the closest families, the ones that you consider close family, they don't even relate. They can't relate to you, not through what you're going spiritually. But there was a time in our life where we had a connection with the gods who taught us our connection with the absolute. Now, as you hear talk about CERN, AI 3 Atlas, and other things that seem extraterrestrial in nature, we must understand that with our right thinking, our true thinking, in unifying back with the one source, divine masculine unifying once again with the divine feminine. The patriarchal society of old bowing down as the ushering in of the great divine feminine mother, the great Magna Mater, the Genetrix returns. Gradually, it says, family, the close connecting link existing between man and the ancients was severed. Because humanity became less and less fitted as it progressed in self consciousness for this communion. What does that mean? I asked you, family watching. It low keys bring a tear to my eyes to think about that. Let's read that again. If I have to stop it at 40 minutes so we can get to a part 3, then I'll just do that. Let's read this again. Gradually, my family who took the time today to watch the good minister, we lost our connection to our ancestors. Here it says the gods. We lost our connection to the gods. The reason being is because humanity became less and less fitted as it progressed in self consciousness for this communion. So is it saying that we dumbed down as we realize our worth in this physical planet? Did we only focus on the third dimension and block everything out? Can you imagine these gods right beside of us trying to teach us something? And we say, I got this. And they're looking for the first time like, what? Oh, our children or our brothers and sisters are really feeling themselves right now. I got this. It probably that's how it ended. The gods doing what they usually do. Well, it can't be that simple either, because if you look to the Anunnaki story, it's a whole cattle and growth cloning type of situation. Man had to learn to work out his own salvation. Mm-mm-mm. Let's read that one more time, at least this last part in a whole, as a whole. Gradually, the close connecting link existing between man and the ancient gods was severed because humanity became less and less fitted as it progressed in self consciousness. For this communion, man had to learn to work out his own salvation, it said. It should be clearly understood that the gods had to withdraw from the world they had helped to construct. Those gods who were from Atlantean times had incarnated in the bodies of the most advanced human beings were compelled to withdraw, and they could only touch the physical plane by using the most highly evolved bodies. So it came to pass that such entities in whom were hidden the divine spiritual appeared again on earth in a unique manner. Now, this part, family, I'm probably going to do 40 minutes and 45 minutes, because for the believers in Christ, for the believers in extraterrestrials, for the believers in the gods, what you're going to be hearing, some of you for the first time. This is beautiful. Is the unity in all of it. And what I want to do is I want you to think about this. If there were a time where the gods were here on a daily basis with us, walking amongst us, the gods, and some even incarnated in us, then gradually once they left and they knew that the people of the planet was dumbing down, they knew that instead of just bringing multiple gods to incarnate in multiple people, then gradually what's going to have to happen is just one being with their God power is going to have to come and manifest and spread the word to many people to raise their consciousness that they are one of them. Now, if you just heard what I said, you are already winning. And if you heard and understood it, you really are already winning. So I'm going to read this again slowly so we all can be on the same page. And like I said, even if I make this a 45 to 50-minute video, this is more than most people got on Ancient Aliens. And I would love to go in Ancient Aliens and have a great talk with them as a scholar. But I think Ancient Aliens can only give you what it can give you as a, how can I say it, a cable type of television channel. So I respect them all the same. It should clearly, family who is watching, and I thank you so much for watching this amazing chapter 2, it should be clearly understood that the gods that our ancestors had to withdraw, they had to leave us, it said, from the world they had helped to construct. Those gods who from Atlantean times had incarnated in bodies of the most advanced human beings were compelled to withdraw as they could only touch the physical plane by using the most highly involved bodies. Even here is trying to say something here. Well, it is saying it. It is saying that, remember what I just read, as humanity became less and less fitted. So that means that we were being dumbed down, or we were dumbed down as humans, stuck or bound in love with the material world and the illusions. Remember, the gods couldn't do that. Some of them fell for it, but the more highly ones knew that this was not their world. They had to go back home. Why? Because if they stayed with these physical bodies, they would themselves would be trapped in this illusion in this world, as they've seen so many of their peers and families. It should be clearly understood that the gods had to withdraw from the world they had helped to construct. Those gods from Atlantean times had incarnated in the bodies of the most advanced human beings, were compelled to withdraw as they could only touch the physical plane by using the most highly involved bodies. So it came to pass that such entities, in whom were hidden the divine spiritual, appeared again on earth in a unique manner. They became the leaders and initiators in the great esoteric schools and the custodians of the mysteries, public religion for the masses and the secret religion for those who were ready. Let me stop there. I'm 40 years old. There's some of you out watching who are 50, 60, 70, however you have you. Do you guys remember back in the, like I said, I'm 84 myself the year I was born. But do you guys remember in the early 80s, even before my time, we would see a lot of black or melanated, either Haitian, Creole, or Caribbean priest and Catholic priest? How many of y'all hit the like button if you remember those? Remember back in the days, there were so many rampant black, whether it was Haitian, Jamaican, what, black melanated brothers from, obviously from past America and beyond. Remember those? Well, research have it that a lot of those brothers were old Atlantean beings. They were old Atlantean beings. I don't know if any of you have heard about that, but yes, a lot of those cardinals and those brothers back in the days, I guess the 90s, and by the 80s and 90s, they were all dying out, or however you made you, but they were Atlantean beings. It's something to think about. So it came to pass that such entities, in whom were hidden the divine spiritual, appeared again on earth in a unique manner. They became the leaders and initiators in the great esoteric schools and the custodians of the mysteries, public religion for the masses and the secret religion for those who were ready. Theirs was the duty of carrying on the secret wisdom and preparing the way for Christ. Preparing the way for Christ, not one man, but Christ and all mankind. This is what you need to know in 2025. Not one man, but Christ returned in all of mankind. Let it be remembered that man had come to earth from the spiritual world. Religious people, theologians, Orthodox, even our brother Christ said that I am in this world, but I'm not of this world. My kingdom is not of this world. So this work that the minister is reading to you today, this work is dated in 1930. This work wants you to remember that man had come to earth from the spiritual world, not the other way around. He had existed in the old Saturn. I guess you know where the minister is going to eat in this presentation. How many of you out there who truly call yourselves spiritual beings? How many of you know about that good old teacher, that father who teaches us with a hard, stern belt? Saturn. If you're really good, you can take Saturn all the way back to Satan or Set. But let's focus on Saturn as far as the lawgiver, the bounderer, the teacher of spiritual souls. 15 minutes is where I'm going to end this at 15 minutes. And we're going to start on chapter 3. It should be, no. This book, once again, is written in 1930. This book wants to remind you that man had come to earth from the spiritual world. That you had existed in the old Saturn, in darkness, in warmth, while you were little more than a germ. Talking to you. When God commanded the light, you lived on the sun in a fluid form suitable to his environment. You had lived on the earth with the sun, cast it out, and it became a vaporous waste. You were on earth when the moon parted from earth. And earth, sun, and moon hung as three separate globes in the heavens. We were there spiritually where all this was going on. Church didn't tell me this. School didn't tell me this. Let it be remembered that man had come to earth from the spiritual world. He had existed in the old Saturn, in darkness and warmth, while he was little more than a germ. When God commanded the light, he lived on the sun in a fluid form suitable to his environment. He had lived on earth when the sun cast it out and it became a vaporous waste. He was on earth when the moon parted from earth, and earth, sun, and moon hung as three separate globes in the heavens. He had survived the destruction of Lemuria by fire, and thus the destruction of Atlantis by flood and ice, and led by the Manus, who were divine shepherds, M-A-N-U-S, and led by the divine shepherds, he had fared forth over the hardened surface of the globe to form the nucleus of these great civilizations we have enumerated. We have very roughly described to you today what is open to all men to know, the grand design of the cosmic Christ, the solar word. In the beginning was the word. Before Abraham, I am. Within you, you experienced all this. Within you, your soul remembers all this happening to it. We have very roughly described today what is open to all men to know, the grand design of the cosmic Christ, the solar word, and the Lord of creation. And we have traced his word, which was from the beginning, as it was spoken forth by the great sun gods who came down to do the bidding of the Supreme. And I end this with a quote. Him about whom naught may be said. Now, I'm going to end here. Chapter 3, we will be discussing how the Greeks and the Greek civilization spiritually brought life to the physical world. Chapter 3, we're going to talk about the Greek civilization, from Homer to Plato to Pythagoras and to many more, and how these beings from Greek civilization actually came down here as a whole to help raise the consciousness of the people on this planet. So, as always, Cosmic Creation University, the home of the esoteric and the metaphysical knowledge. As always, family, it's a pleasure. Until next time.